So it is the year of the ox, and I thought that I would start preparing some like really easy recipes for you guys. So if you wanted to celebrate Chinese New Year at home, you could do that with some very easy recipes. So today what I'm going to showcase is actually a mushroom and cabbage dumpling. It will be part of a larger video that I will be putting out later on in the week that includes multi-courses for you guys to make, you know, your whole Chinese New Year feast at home. The idea behind dumplings is actually why they are lucky is the shape of the dumplings. It reminds people a lot of the Chinese ingots, the Chinese gold pieces. So it's really there to symbolize, I think especially in northern China, about wealth and prosperity for the new year. Because, you know, times are hard for everybody. So that is something that is really nice to make. I also heard for dumplings that WILTS, because of the, it's a homophone kind of for an exchange between the old year and the new. I know that typically we do it with the wheat dumpling wrapper dough, but I thought that it would be nice to show you guys a clear dumpling wrapper so that you guys can see everything that's inside and how pretty it looks. Okay, so I'm taking this recipe from the vegan dim sum book, and I'm going to do the clear dumpling wrappers for this recipe. But what I realized was I think it's hard for some people to find wheat starch. I'm going to try one with potato starch and then tapioca starch. And the boiling water should start to activate the starches a little bit. And then we're going to cover it for a couple of minutes and then add in the rest of the liquid. Okay, so this is after a couple of minutes. A little bit of oil first. Quite necessary because this mixture has a tendency to just dry because of all of that starch. And then we'll add the rest of the water, but in the form of just cool room temperature water. So we'll see how that goes. So this is a bit of a newer recipe for me, but I think it is on the softer end of things. So what I'll do is I'll probably mix a couple tablespoons of tapioca starch with potato starch. Okay, so what I have here is I have a mix of dried shiitake mushrooms that I've rehydrated, as well as just some fresh shiitake mushrooms. And the reason that I like to use dried is because it is actually more chewy and it has kind of a firmer bite to it than fresh mushrooms do. So I mix both of them, but you guys can feel free to just use fresh or just use dried. And I'm thinking I have about 1 cup of mushrooms, so I'm going to do about 1 cup of this as well. What I'm gonna do is to put together the marinade. So pretty easy. recommend for clear dumpling wrappers is they have a tendency to, they can be sticky. And they need a pretty kind of slick surface. So if you have something like, probably like a plastic surface or something that's not too rough, because it tends to catch onto that, okay? Okay, so we have a piece like this. Typically, if I was using wheat starch, I wouldn't need to use really any starch at all because it's pretty much non-stick. This one is also non-stick, but it feels a bit softer. It feels a little bit wetter. So I think what I have to do is to keep it quite thick, because I tried it a little bit earlier. If I roll it out too thin, it's really unable to support itself, and then you can't really pleat it afterwards. So I'm gonna do a little bit differently from how I normally roll out dumpling doughs. I'm just gonna take a cutter like this to get the edges nice. And because again, it's such a soft dough, when you roll it out, you don't wanna roll it out too big. You don't wanna stretch it out too thin. So think about the size of your cookie cutter, and you want that to be right around, you know, the size of your dough. Take that. A little spatula is useful as well. Okay, so yeah, kind of quite fragile actually. So I'm gonna fill it. This is quite small, so I'm gonna fill it with a little less filling, I think. In there. Okay, so something like that. Okay. And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pleat one side. Some of the edges might be a bit rough. You just want to kind of press that down. Again, this one is a bit like silly putty, so that's that. Okay.